This thing, eh? Let's play. Turn that off. We don't need that. Thing on. Anyway, let's see what this is about. Never played this game before. Let's start with chapter 1, I guess. The history. 40 years, this game known as Tetris has enticed us, confounded us, and occupied our brains long after we put down the controller. It's hard to imagine a world without Tetris. But how did we get here? Introduction. The first game.
Hi everybody, I'm Alexei Pazhitner. 10 years ago, I invented a game called Tetris.
This is the guy.
Great is not the word for Tetris. The right word for Tetris is perfect.
Perfect.
I'm at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I stand in line, and there I play Tetris for the first time.
It's really the perfect game. Once you
That would be
play Tetris,
probably
like,
pretty
it's part of
awesome
your
back in the
DNA.
day. I remember that being pretty cool in the Game Boy.
I find myself standing in line at the Tetris machine again, and I play again.
Perfectly implemented.
Got a little Tetris machine myself.
The fourth time I'm standing in this line, it's like, I'm really hooked on this game. I said,
Getting ready for
"I'm gonna
work
do this."
like usual. You're always
I'm not going
working.
back till I have these rights.
Don't buy already.
Tetris.
Sometimes you get ready for work and you kind of
genders,
talk a
or
little bit, but
ages.
not today, I
It
guess.
transcends cultures, it transcends language, and there's a whole Tetris effect that
Could have
happens.
played
So
Balatro, I
seeing
guess.
Tetris
That would have
pieces
kept you.
everywhere when you're packing a car or when you want to
Where was
organize
I? The
something.
hockey was on yesterday.
Harmonically, everything comes together.
I should just play or watch hockey and have the controller in my hand, eh?
And the pieces.
There's nothing associated
Hello,
with
Steph.
Tetris except
159.
it's universal.
It's no character. You don't have attitude to the pieces. They are all good. It allows you to concentrate on your activity.
It only is a game.
It's not a
You ever play
destructive game,
Tetris?
it's a constructive game. You're basically building lines of blocks.
It's illusion because what you generally do, you don't construct anything. As a matter of fact, you keep destroying the stuff you build.
I love that kind of attention.
All you see is the garbage, your failures and mistakes.
You want to keep clearing lines.
You play and play and play to get rid of it, to get it lowered.
I played that
It really
one right
kind of
there.
speaks to the human need to want to create order out of chaos. Alexei figured it out, and that's why we're around 40 years later.
All my life is connected to Tetris. Every time when I design the game, I never satisfied because I clearly see.
Look, he's
that
got a little
this game
Tetris
won't be
suit.
At the same level of Tetris.
That's a
The
cool
friendship
jacket,
that
eh?
formed between Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitnov.
They made a movie about
really
this, you know?
Ultimately brought Tetris to the rest of the world. They're still best friends today.
I think our friendship goes deeper than Tetris.
They're both programmers, and they both have the love of games.
Basically, I just
They got big Tetris.
normal life, and time to time, strange stuff happened.
Play Tetris.
Play Tetris.
My friends.
Okay.
Right. This Polyominoes. Our story truly begins decades before Tetris game was created. In 1953, mathematics professor Solomon Golom invented the term polyominoes to describe two-dimensional shapes created by connecting equally sized squares. Called shapes made of 3 squares trominos, 4 squares tetraminos, 5 squares pentominos. Are you ready for the quiz later, Stephanie? Pentominoes puzzle games employed a surge of popularity in the 60s that after the spread of Solomon Golom's research, the aim was to fit the 12 unique pentomino shapes into a rectangular form without leaving any gaps. Did I have for dinner? I had like Swedish hamburger. Ancient connection. With the passage of time, I learned of the true antiquity of pentominoes. The observation that there was 12 distinct patterns of pentominoes before 5 connection stones on a go board. The very old Japanese game played with black and white stone markers placed on board is attributed to the ancient master of that game. Go. See what this guy has to say.
I was a regular schoolboy, and my mother was journalist in a cinema magazine. And when I got it, it was very fascinated. I fall in love with cinema that time.
The bread, eh?
And my father was rather writer. He published several books on different.
You mean
writers.
fries with a tiny bit of gravy and cheese,
So
right?
they was humanitarian and I'm kind of more technical person. Father feed me with
How old
lots of
Tetris guy
logical
is.
puzzles. He tried to teach me with the chess, but
He must have made it when he was
because
young,
he
right?
was a very good chess player, and I never can beat him. So I'm very defensive in chess. So this is not good. There was some puzzles all the time around in the house. So that's what managed me to more mathematics in
How'd you
my-
like a
in
coat
my
like
family.
his, eh? Cool.
In 8th grade, I entering to the special program for mathematics. Then I get to the high school, to Moscow Institute of Aviation, how it called, and I graduated as a program.
I hope you're enjoying the movie here.
Mathematician researcher.
He was born on 1955. Alexa, you were born in 1955. How old are you? Whoa. Alexa, volume down. Alexa, volume down. Alright, let's see what this next thing is about playing with math. You like
There is
playing
a
with math?
Professor in United States. His name is Colomb, and he wrote the entire book about polymino. How many different shapes you could build out of several squares, put them together. I love this book. It was translated, and one of my favorite book on my mathematical bookshelf. So one square produced just one.
It
piece.
looks like the
That's-
Tetris
two
pieces,
square
eh?
produce just one piece, which traditionally called domino. That's where mino came from. Trimino is just 2 pieces, the straight line and the ankle. Tetramino, we know it very well, but with the pentamino it starts to be interesting, because there are exactly 12 different shapes you could make together with the 5 squares. So this pentamino set, I purchased it, I believe I was 14 or 15, and it was very simple stuff, but it was lots of enjoyment there. It is very creative stuff. So
How'd you like
basically
that
it's all
game?
12 shape which you could make out of 5 squares, W or C or X. This one called F somehow. It's not F, but look like F. Basically, you could play with it. You wanna build something. It's much more rich than jigsaw puzzle, because jigsaw puzzle you could put together just only one way, and this stuff are much.
I finished a jigsaw puzzle.
Give you much more diversity. Something like that. The activity very much remind you how you play Tetris, isn't it? I did some kind of tower or whatever. But then the moment starts that you get tired and try to put it back in the box. And that's where the puzzle starts. You feel that you're doing great and great, doing some progress, and all of a sudden you discover that you are very far from from the stuff to put it together. So we already don't have the piece for this item. Maybe here.
Good for this, eh? He's pretty good at it.
That piece doesn't.
Guy that made
do
Tetris.
as well. And then you start to kind of do some kind of panic movement, take away this stuff and put them together, and it didn't fit, and so on. 6 by 10 rectangle could be filled up. I calculated on my computer 14 million and some 300,000 something configuration. I don't remember exact number. And you could spend good half an hour before you finally got lucky and find the proper piece. I had several of them lying everywhere in my house. So once and twice a year I found
Now he's got Tetris jackets.
this box and enjoy it and then put it back, and that's it. So, wow, I forget how to do this. So wasn't something really special and whatever for me. Ooh. Tutu!
Get it!
Got it. I was interested in computer and computer science. I did my diploma work and my kind of course for credit works in Computer Center of Academy of Science. And I love the people, and after I graduate, then I start working there. They place me on some project about the speech recognition. I found myself that I'm working mostly on the tool, to make a tool to get some kind of strange business system, which is also the tool, you know. It's hard to explain you now, but we don't have too much fun stuff going out of computer. It was mostly boring kind of lines of code and maybe some kind of very primitive images which are composed out of letters and symbols. That's all we have that time. And I ask myself,
Can you understand what he's saying?
How do I get the pleasure directly from the screen of computer? As soon as I was done with my planned work on speech recognition, for myself I start put together some small riddles and.
No, is it too quiet? Sitting at Alexi's desk at his workplace was the Electronica 60 computer produced by order of the Soviet Ministry of Electronic Industry. It was a clone of the PDP-11 computer. It was originally produced in 1970. That meant it was not a very powerful machine for 1984. In fact, it couldn't even display graphics, just text.
So what you see here is
volume levels look okay.
You have impression of the Electronica 60, which I originally created Tetris. Very old and unreliable. So I think it's just.
Yeah, tell me why you can't hear it. Is it too low, or is it just his accent, or what?
This is not authentical computer. It's a little bit later computer. It's a version of so-called Electronica 125. It looked Very similar.
Why'd you say
to
no
this.
then?
It has this keyboard and kind of Russian placement of the keys. This is monitor. It just TV set, which produces kind of lines and ASCII symbol, and that's it. Usually I played with the numeric keyboard. 7, 8, 9 is 7, 9 for left and right, and 8 for rotation. I didn't have a hard drop was the space bar. Left, rotate, left, drop. Right, rotate, rotate. Okay, and then escape when I lost.
In their spare time, Alexei and his coworkers enjoyed programming games on their work computers. They had dreams of being able to sell the games somehow, although that would be extremely unlikely under the USSR's communist economic system. 5 becomes 4. Alexei thought back to the Pentominoes game he had found as a teenager. Could a virtual Pentomino set make for a compelling video game? He started thinking about a game in which players could arrange Pentominoes, but soon they realized that the 5-block shapes were too complex, so he decided to use the 4-block polynomials, the Tetraminos. Rather than have the player fit the shapes into a small box like the Pentomino puzzle, Alexei hit on the idea of having the puzzles fall down into a well. The player would try to place as many of them as possible into the box by rotating them and fitting them together. Originally, the game would be over once the well filled up, but this would happen very quickly. Additionally, Alexei noticed if a player put blocks all the way across the well, it would block off the bottom and render that area unusable. To solve this problem made it so the game would clear any completed line to give the player more room to play. It turned out to be the last piece of the puzzle, and an addicting game was born. He named the game after a Greek word for 4, tetra, and tennis, his favorite sport. Tetra being tennis, thus become Tetris. Here's the the original version. Look like the one you played? Oh crap. Oh. Oh. It's hard. Are you good at Tetris? Like ba 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 ba. Oh, ooh, look at those moves, eh? Ah! Damn it! Get out. Oh, I said speed back. Oh, that turned it to English. Play it in white. You like white or green better? Oh. Don't say anything if you like white better. Oh, you must like white better. Actually, green's kind of cool too, but I was lining up with the side first, you know? With that for a second. Big skyscraper happening here. Here we go. We finally got some favorable peace. Look at this. I think we got a Tetris. Achievement! I got an achievement for getting it on an electronica. Oh, crap. Work our way back from the top again here. No, I can't believe it either. Oh! Oh, crap. Oh! Can't believe that happened to me. We reopened the door here. Really fast. Oh, crap! Oh, no! Hmm. Play again. Yes or no? How do you exit out of this?
I still play with my box of pentaminas, and I'm wondering why nobody just play against each other with this stuff. And I thought that it would be very interesting to try to research it on the computer. I just started programming it. At that time we didn't have any graphics on the computer, so I realized that I could use the square bracket for the squares, and it looked pretty very much. Then I start doubting, so 12 shapes is very good for when you have all of them in front of you on the table. But if they coming all the time, it's too much to remember. And 7 is a magical number. We know that 7 is the size of operative memory. People could remember lots of phone numbers. I decided that I should downsize it. So tetramine is obvious instead of pentaminas, and I were very very glad and very excited when I make this decision. And I feel that it's natural the piece to fall down because it's a gravity on this planet. I immediately start to put together some play field. I didn't feel that I need the entire screen. Too much movement. This play field was filled up practically in 1 minute, so I need to somehow deal with it. I realized that the full lines, all full lines, are kind of dead on the screen. Why don't I just take them away? And that was the last and very serious aha for Tetris game. The game immediately start to be really bright. I can't stop playing. I really appreciate the hard drops I did in the game. The only one drop I could do is a hard drop because my keyboard, it doesn't distinguish push and release moments. With all my wish, I can't do any soft drop at this time, but hard drop was very important, and that determined the rhythm of the game.
Level of playing this game, as far as I remember.
What's the highest level on this? Is it 9?
9, but 9 is very kind of flashy. You have your eyes tired pretty soon. So.
Now, is level 9, is the reason you went up to 9 because you only wanted to use 1 digit space?
Yes.
Finally, my colleague.
There we go. Now we know.
I doing something strange on the computer for a week or so, and I say, okay, guys, okay, I will finish my programming and I will show you this stuff. And then I put a small title screen, record table, and put together and released the game, and it was like a wood fire. In 2 months, every electronic 60 had this game on it. People say that my game is like a drinking vodka. The word glass was very kind of associated with the drinking, and we need it for vodka, of course. And the people put the title Stakan. It's Stakan, which you used to drink vodka. But I insisted on Tetris all the time. And Tetris is very nice sound in Russian, at least. Tetramine is obvious object which we're dealing with in the game. So I decided it should be something kind of related to Tetris. That was a very popular game which lots of people enjoy on IBM PC called Xonix. Xonix, I like this X termination, but Tetris was too much copying from Xonix, so I put is. I think Tetris will be little bit lighter and remind me of tennis, my favorite sport. And this is a good name.
Now you know why it's called it. Alexei's colleagues at the Academy of Sciences love playing the game, but how could he let the rest of the world know about his creation? It would have been illegal for him to sell it. Alexei put those questions aside for the time being. First, he wanted to get the game off of the creaky Electronica 60 and onto IBM compatible PCs, which were quickly becoming the global standard for home computers. Around this time, Alexei met That brilliant 16-year-old student who's excelling so much in school. Oh, video.
At some moment, people who work on IBM PC approached me and started pushing me to port it to PC. I didn't like very much PC at that time. The colors were too funky, too bright, and kind of very unserious kind of stuff. I understand that this is enjoyment stuff for kids, but my mathematical kind of spirit, it's not something I really want to work on a lot, you know. And I had a perfect excuse. At that time, it was no common device between IBM PC and Electronica 60. Floppy disks had totally different format, so that was my excuse. I say, I don't want to type it again, forget it. One day, one of my friends from this PC department brought me the young schoolboy. He was 15 or whatever. He get the school practice in computer center for programming. Absolutely genius guy. His name was Vadim Gerasimov. He used to work for Google last time I've heard about it. I don't know where he is now. But this young wunderkind kind of was presented to me, and I say, well, basically I have this floppy disk with Tetris program in it in Pascal language. So if you could transfer it somehow, then we could do something with it on PC. He knew MS-DOS, the PC operating system of the time, very well. So he could do absolutely magical stuff there. He understood the file system, which is totally different. He make a physical reading of the disk. And in 4 or 5 days, less than a week, he invited me and showed me my Tetris game exactly with those square bracket and stuff working on PC. I was really surprised and amazed with this. For me, it might
The first
take
port.
maybe months or something of work, of studying, of trying and whatever. He did everything in record time. It was absolute miracle for me. If we find a small rectangle of ASCII table of the certain color, and we decide to make this normal 16 color text mode. And because it's PC, it's much more international, so it's immediately spread, and we start to get the evaluation from abroad as well. So everybody likes the game, and we feel good.
By late 85, Hadjianov and Gerasimov had a version of Tetris that ran on MS-DOS. But this version was still fully constructed out of the text characters, the color graphics, extended character set. PC allowed the blocks to appear in a rainbow of colors. The display was now in English instead of Russian, which would help it spread further around the world along the screen's bottom edge. And the phrase, "Play Tetris." Oh, I could play it. Oh, it beeped. Harder to line up than the other one. Kind of like the Atari 50 format. Oh. Oh, I didn't want to play 5. Play 5. Is that a Tetris? Was. Crap. Oh. Dang it. Oh no. You like the original version of this game? I was playing the one that has the little grid. The original. This is the very first one on this particular version. Is the first one on the PC. Back in the day. Which original version are you talking about? This one is before Game Boy version. Notice lack of music. Didn't have music yet. Oh crap! Oh, you're not even that. This is more original than that version. Um, the one I was just playing is just because this was the second version. So Game Boy is like the third or fourth version, I think. Know how you get out of this? Here we go. So look at. So here's their. I'll show you the original version. That's what the original version looks like right here. That was the first one that came out on disc. Try to get out again. I can't. See, it was in Russian. I just gotta go to the washroom now. Oh, I'm back. The move to MS-DOS meant Tetris could now be easily spread from the computer to computer, and it did. Pajitnov made copies for friends, they made copies for their friends, and so on. And so on. Tetris took a life of its own. Soon, whenever you found a PC in Moscow, there was a good chance that a Tetris floppy disk was somewhere nearby waiting to be played. But it was one particular copy of Tetris that changed the world. Victor Brabin, one of the higher-ups at the Academy of Sciences, had sent a copy to his friend, the director of a computer science institute in Budapest, Hungary, called SZKI. Tetris had escaped Moscow, but couldn't get past the Iron Curtain. Here's another Hungarian invention. While Hungary, also at the time a communist country, had adopted a more progressive stance towards international trade. This was largely thanks to the massive success of the Rubik's Cube toy. Invented by Erno Rubik in Hungary in 1975 and released around the world starting in 1980. Have you guys ever used the Rubik's Cube? I have one of those. Let's check out this film. Oh wait, it's not a film. Born in Hungary, living in London, England, Robert Stein was a computer entrepreneur who ran a company called Andromeda Software, would license computer games being created in Hungary. On a trip to the Computer Science Institute SZKI in June 1986, happened to see a Tetris being played on a PC. You ever played a Rubik's Cube, Stephanie? That's this thing right here. And you know how to solve them? Oh, really? I struggle solving them easily. It takes me a bit of work. This company had a lab where they were developing all sorts of things. They wanted to show me scientific, sophisticated products. And then I looked over in the corner and said, "What the hell is this?" Jumping up and down on the IBM PC screen. And they said, "Oh, it's just a game." You've never played a Rubik's Cube, Got? They're all over the place. It was invented in Hungary, apparently. Know that. Let's watch a movie.
Our secretary of the director of the human resource person came to me and say, "We got the telex from you from England. Come, take it," and responded. And that was a Robert Stein proposal to license Tetris. He saw this game in Ski. Ski is a Hungary Institute of
Apparently
Computer
it's
Science,
Ski.
probably. And he likes it, and he want to license it, and he proposed about, I don't remember, either 15, either 10,000 pounds or dollars. I don't remember clearly either. But that amount I appreciated in kind of 3-4 computers, PC. IBM PC that time. The situation was
Sort of
very
watching an
clear. At
interactive
this
thing.
time, not my computer center, even Academy of Science has no right to.
There's a movie
create
based on
business
this
deal
game,
with
though.
Somebody outside of USSR.
Big action movie.
It was like from kindergarten. Every Soviet person knows that for sure. I had no doubt and very serious and very simply answer him in a proper words that I am very glad to receive this telex. I like what you propose. I will find
Or makes a
somebody
rip-off?
who is
Yeah, there's a lot of
authorized
rip-offs
to
of it, eh?
make a deal with you. Later on, it shows that he considered my very polite reply on this as a authorization for him to get the license. That was absolutely shock for me later on. But that time I went with this telex to my deputy director, who was more authorized in the stuff. He said, "Okay, go ahead and find out if we could sell it and get couple computers in the computer center. That would be great." And then I start kind of my odyssey over those different agencies in Moscow.
Wasn't really that long ago. And the Academy had meant to convey that by the message is that they wanted to sit down and attempt to hammer out a contract with Stein, but what Stein took from that message was that the deal was done and that the eventual contract would just be a formality. After that message, he immediately began to sublicense Tetris to publishers around the world, even though he didn't have the rights yet. His creation We're about to fully break through the Iron Curtain and emerge onto the world stage, but the Tetris story doesn't end here. In fact, it's just getting started as yet another developer was about to discover his game. Brilliant game had been discovered and the race was on as video game publishers around the world competed for the rights to publish this Russian marvel in their home countries.
I was born in the Netherlands. I lived in Holland for 11 years and moved to New York City. Learned English.
You can see if this matches up with Tetris, the movie.
Graduated #1 in my school and ended up going
No,
to
I don't
the
think
best
so.
math and science
You
high
just
school in New York.
Come so
Started from high
seldomly that it
school.
looks different every
That's
time.
where I got to touch computers for the first time. These were the days of punch cards, and I would put in my punch card program today, and I would get the result, which is the printout, 2 days later.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
how
the turnaround
computers
time.
used to
That
work.
wasn't good enough for me, so I cheated, and I made 6 copies of my program and put one in each drawer of each class. So I had a turnaround time of 4 hours, and my teacher couldn't understand how I was so fast.
Look at him on a skateboard.
End of high school, I'm 18. I moved to Hawaii. Boy, I spent a year surfing and diving. You know, if there were waves, I'd be surfing. If there was no waves, I'd be diving. I was in the water every day. I was a fish. And one day I read in the newspapers, oh my goodness, I can go to night school and have access to computers. My dream, I love computers. You know, I could ICS 301, you know, learn how to program in BASIC. So I said, Dad, I have access. And about a week into it, my teacher called me in and said, Mr. Rogers, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what are you doing? I says, well, you've already used as much computer time as an average student uses in a semester. And I showed him the programs I was working on, and he says, okay, carry on. You know, every assignment that we got, I went extra credit. I was so good that he hired me as a TA, and I graded all the papers for the next ICS 301 class.
This is the real Tetris, yeah.
Which was very useful. People ask me, what did you study? You know, what was your major? And I always say, I majored in computer science and I minored in Dungeons and Dragons. We had a organization at Campus Center in.
You know what nerds are? Is they're money makers now. It's
recreational reality.
very good to be a nerd.
You know, the first D&D books, they were like little tiny books, and they didn't really have enough information to actually play the game. You had to make up stuff. So we had all these additional rules, and we called them ARG rules. And so that fleshed out for the dungeon masters and for the players how to play D&D. After, I don't know, I guess it was half a year, I ran out of computer classes that I could take in night school. And my teacher said, well, you know, if you want more computer time, you're gonna have to go to day school. And so I said to my teacher, well, I'm not going to take any of my core requirements. And he says, I'm not saying that you have to take your core requirements. All I'm saying is that if you want more computer time, you're going to have to go to day school. I said, okay, I'll go. So
Am I
I
a
went to
nerd?
day school. I took all the computer classes.
I don't
could
know.
take,
I don't
and
think
I
I'm a
took
nerd.
Only the classes that I was interested in, which is pretty much all the science classes. I even took religion and
Are you a
meaning of
nerd?
existence, you know, some history, stuff that I was interested in. At the end
Think
of 3 years, they
Neff
pulled
and
me in
Stephanie
they
are
said,
nerds?
It's another Mr. Rogers story. Mr. Rogers, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, you haven't taken any of your core requirements. And I said, well, I've already been to high school. And then they said, well, if you're not going to take your core requirements, you're not going to graduate. I said, there must be some mistake. I'm not here to graduate. I'm here to get an education. And I've already got my education. Thank you very much. And I chased the girl to Japan, and that was it.
He didn't even take his core requirements. He just left. Here's a self-portrait. That's how they did selfies back in those days. They in 1970, he took a picture of himself in a mirror or in a window. Nothing wrong with being nerds, you guys. I mean, you're kind of a nerd. You're watching streams and stuff. I mean, non-nerds don't do that. Here you both are watching streams, so and Stephanie watches streams non-stop all day. Hank and his father, Jerry Rogers, in Bangkok, Thailand in 1982. His project was to design and build high-temperature electric ovens. It went up to 1900 Celsius to heat, treat rubies and sapphires to just color and clarify, a process known as burning. Yeah, you know, non-nerds, they don't even know how to use a computer or a phone. Alright, let's check out the beginning of Japanese RPGs.
I went to Japan, and there was no way for me to access.
Look at him back in the day. Was he handsome or what?
My father in the gemstone business for 6 years, and then personal computers came out, and I go, "Oh my gosh, this is my chance!" Got my whole hands on a computer. I went to Akihabara, which is the electronics center in Tokyo. What are people buying? You know, they have to do with computer, because I was ready to do an accounting software, for Christ's sakes, and I found out, wow, people are buying games. Games? And they were mostly like little tiny shooting games and jumping platform games. There were some simulation war games, you know, a little bit more complicated, but there were no role-playing games. And I thought, oh yeah, I can do this. And you know, at that time in the U.S. we already had Ultima and Wizardry. What I didn't know was that in Japan there was no Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my God!
Guys, really into Dungeons and Dragons.
You know, play this game.
I made a conscious decision to develop a game type that existed in the US but not Japan. There were no RPGs or paper to speak of in the country at the time, so I decided to take a chance and do one. Didn't speak or read Japanese back then. It was a total reverse engineer of titles I enjoyed back home. Ah, I thought you meant he was ugly. Plastic outfit looks ugly. Well, it's just not in fashion anymore, I guess. Let's watch the Black Onyx.
I decided I was going to make a game. I was going to have warriors and clerics and magic users, and I was going to have all these different character classes. You know, and my imagination, this game was going to be this big. What did I know about what a computer can do? I didn't, and I didn't know how to read, speak, or write Japanese. My wife could read, but she didn't understand anything about what was written in the manual, so that was kind of useless. And all the manuals were in Japanese, so I had to hack the computer the whole time. I had 64K, so I made a role-playing game within 64K, all graphics, no text, or a little bit of text.
Look at that, that's pretty impressive.
I started writing it all in BASIC, and then the 3D part, when I wrote the 3D in BASIC, it was like the walls were like, that's speed, and then you would take a step, bunk, and then it would like, I said, no, there's no way this game can take that long. And so I decided to take that part of the game and write it in assembler. When I was done,
I learned assembler language.
And it happened immediately.
Back in the day, that was a tough language.
You couldn't tell that it was drawing anything. And I was like, that was the first time I really understood how fast assembler was, or conversely, how slow BASIC was. There's a sample monster here. This is the demon. 10K
it's all in like
monster graphics.
It's all in numbers,
and 10K
basically.
For all people graphics. I think they were about equal.
Numbers and like
I
letters,
based
like
the
randomly.
graphics on, on miniatures. Because when we played Dungeons and Dragons, we played them with miniatures, and so you had little people, and every time you went,
every little dot on the screen is probably like
you graphically could see your
50 lines of numbers and letters,
getting better and better and better. And I made a dot matrix.
I don't really remember it,
so that I could draw each monster dot by dot.
I mean, I could probably pick it up.
Bought armor. He's already bought.
Gave myself
shield,
a bit of time.
Sword. I mean, he's already an advanced level character. The only thing that wasn't graphic was potions. Potion, you could see.
Programming is
whether
a
you had
lot
little
different
bottle as a
than
potion,
assembler, though.
but you couldn't tell how many potions you had in your bottle. You know, it's up to 5 potions. I wanted a package that was a little bit more expensive than the other packages. All the other packages were paper. Part of the reason is my game was 7,800 yen when all the other games were 6,800 yen. And the reason for that is because I believed that my game had longer gameplay.
The painting in my office was painted by Roger Dean, known for doing things like the Yes Band logo. And this painting that's hanging in my office was the cover of an RPG game that Hank created called The
It's
Black
the
Onyx.
best college course. Depends what
And
you're
this
into,
was
I
the
guess.
Famicom version of the game. The painting is called Freya's Castle. And Freya actually is Roger's daughter.
That game took
I
me
think
nine
they learn
months to build.
a lot of different computer
And
languages
I would
today,
say
though.
that's my lifetime greatest achievement. When you think about it, like today, if
Probably
somebody
expose
gave
them
you
to all
64
sorts of
kids
different
to make a
languages for a
role-playing game,
computer science degree.
that would be tough. I used to be in the gem business, so I knew all about how to. I told my dad I need 1,000 black onyx. The first 100 people that found the onyx and send me the secret password, which was Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life. They would get. I would
Well,
send
if you
them
want to
a
make
real black
money in
onyx.
this world, you're going to want to probably learn
Black
computer
Onyx turned
stuff.
out to be the #1 game in Japan in 1984. I published it myself. My company was Bulletproof Software, and I was all of a sudden a folk hero in the computer game world in Japan.
There you go. Hey, that's the story of the Black Onyx.
I wrote the first 2 games for the company, or for my company. Came to the conclusion that I couldn't do this for the rest of my life. Basically, writing a computer game is a full-time job. In fact, it's more than a full-time job. I was running the company, and I was making computer games. And you can't do both. I had to choose. And so I started traveling around the world, looking for games to bring to Japan.
Here we are at Earl's
And you
Court.
should probably learn computers.
Personal computer
What do you
show.
think the direction the world's going? All computers now.
Hank, is that so far?
This is Shanghai on the Sega machine. It's pretty good. Thank you. Hey, Rob.
Yes, here we have.
Look at that, eh?
DPS.
That old
Yes, he's
Sega,
over here
Sega Master
breaking
System.
in and expanding the UK software market. He's expanding in many different ways. Taking over the world.
I hired programmers to actually take those games and move them to the Japanese computers. I'd published 2 of the first 4 Electronic Arts games, Archon and Mule.
Archon and Mule are both pretty good
Amazing
games,
By
actually.
the way, I published the Star Wars games. I made LucasArts. I made deals with companies all over the world. I was more nimble than the Japanese companies because generally the way it works in Japan is somebody sees a game, they bring it to Japan, and then they have all the buchos, all of the managers have to all agree, yes, this is a good game, and that takes too long. I'm the president of the company. I could make the decision. I spoke English. I had that advantage, and I used it. I licensed a bunch of games, and one of the games that I
This guy
licensed
here is
was
probably
a
rich.
game called Tetris.
Here's the Black Onyx booth at the NEC Personal Computer Fair, Tokyo, 1984. His name is Hank. Hank Rogers.
Not only was my game the #1 selling game in
Game
Japan
he
in
made.
1984, but it was the #1 game in software rental.
Right there, you can see it.
Rent my game for 1 day, use your copy software, make a copy, bring it back, and then next day somebody else could rent it. You can imagine how many people actually got to play my game. Way more than I sold. And so that was really going to kill our industry. And the magazines were advertising copy tools. Can you imagine? The answer to that, to copy, is Nintendo, because Nintendo was making cartridges. My wife actually read in a magazine
He couldn't steal those.
that Mr. Yamauchi, the president of Nintendo, plays Go. Wow. and I'd had
This
a
is the guy I
submission
think that was in
from a
that
Commodore
movie you're
64
talking about.
from England, 9x9 Go. You know, Go is 19x19, but 9x9 Go. And this 9x9 Go was on the Commodore 64, which is a 6502. Nintendo is a 6502. So I knew that the algorithm was going to work. We didn't have to do anything to it. I mean, there's no danger of that. All we had to do was change the graphics and the sound and all of that, rebuild that from scratch. No problem. I wrote Mr. Yamauchi a fax. It's Tuesday. Mr. Yamauchi, my name is Hank Rogers. I can make a Go game for your Nintendo machine. I'm leaving for the States on Saturday. I would like to meet you before I leave. Wednesday, I get a fax back. Mr. Yamauchi will meet you tomorrow. I said, wow, that is some fast action there. Okay, so now it's Thursday. Yamauchi says, I can't give you any programmers. And I said, I don't need any programmers. I have programmers. I just need money. And he goes, how much money? And I'm, wow, that's fast. And so I thought of the biggest number I could think of, 30 million yen. And
30 million yen?
It's like, whoa, that was fast. That was fast. And that was it. That was pretty much the meeting. I mean, it was over in no more than maybe between 5 and 10 minutes. We had made a deal for $300,000. That's like the biggest number that I've even ever heard of. Okay,
he made $30 million or $1,000 in 10 minutes.
A guy from England and say, and make a deal with him because I actually didn't have a Go game. So I contacted Alan Scarf in England, who had made the game. I said, dude, I'll pay you this much. You got to come to Japan and help me move this game to the Nintendo machine. And Alan Scarf lived in my house for 9 months while we moved the game. Now, to get a computer to play Go is incredible, you know? And now we're talking about a 64K, 8-bit computer playing Go. Are you serious? I mean, the fact that it can play Go at all is incredible. I have little ninjas jumping around collecting the stones. Instead of having a cursor, the stone floated.
He made $300,000 for making that game.
Shadow, and if you said play there, then it would land on its shadow. It was graphically amazing, and it actually played pretty decently. It's 9 months later, and I'm back in a room with Mr. Yamauchi, and Mr. Yamauchi's fumbling with the controller. I swear he'd never touched the controller before. I was like, are you serious? This is a Nintendo machine. You've never actually, I didn't say this, I'm just being flabbergasted at this whole scene. And he gets frustrated and he hands it over to his underling and he says, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. And he plays one game with it. And he defeats me. He's a 6th-degree black belt in Go. Like my father, who's also a 6th dan. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt, so I can hold my own.
Well, back then, that was a lot
or
of money.
Dan, we have an even game. He beats a
You could
9x9
buy
Go algorithm on Famicom.
a McDonald's meal for a quarter of the price.
And he says, it's too weak for Nintendo. I said, Mr. Yamauchi, it's a miracle that it plays Go at all. You know, it's plenty strong for children to learn how to play Go. And he says, did you not hear what I said? I said, it's too weak for Nintendo. I had to think fast. I said, Mr. Yamauchi, it may be too weak for Nintendo, but it's strong enough for my company, BPS. Let me publish it. What about my money? I'll give you 100 yen for each copy until you get your money back, which is $1. So I would have had to sell 300,000 copies to give him his money back. And he said, deal. That is how I became a Nintendo publisher. Because if he says, yes, you can publish it, it means, yes, he's given me the blessing to be a publisher.
This is like the first Nintendo NES
first game. And after that, I had other reasons to meet with Yamauchi. And so I would always make the appointment on a day when he had no other appointments after my meeting. And then we would play Go afterwards. And it was like the Prince and the Pauper, because when we play Go, everybody else is gone. Normally he's got underlings that are making sure he doesn't say or do anything that he's not supposed to, whatever. But when you play Go,
guys seems like a good businessman.
First of all, nobody else in the industry played Go. Can you imagine? And those two worlds didn't collide at all. Go in Japan is not considered a game. They don't even say play Go. They say do Go. It's like doing kendo or aikido, and Go is in that class. And so we played Go, and then he would ask me questions about the business, what's going on, and so when we were actually the closest thing that he would have.
Game,
to
they showed it.
being
There, the
friends with
white
someone.
and black visas. See, they're playing it right there. Picture. And then here's the Famicom, which is the Japanese name for Nintendo NES. The Super Famicom was the Super NES. Released its first game console, the Famicom Family Computer, in 1983. 2 years later, it became extremely popular in Japan, and Nintendo was planning to release it in the US as Nintendo Entertainment System, NES. Japan's top computer software makers saw the writing on the wall and began seeking permission to make Famicom games. And here's a picture of Go. Initially, Nintendo rebuffed BPS's attempt to produce a Go game for Famicom, but Hank was undeterred. After his wife Akemi discovered in a magazine article that Nintendo's president played Go, Hank sent a fax to him asking if he wanted to meet and discuss his idea. He had a meeting with him. Told Hank he would pay him $300,000 to create a video game version of Go for Famicom. It was going to be difficult to get the 8-bit machine to calculate the complex gameplay moves required, but he had a plan. In 1984, British Go player named Alan Scarf released Micro Go game for the Commodore 64. Since the 64 is similar in power, got in touch and asked him to come to Japan to port his game. So he kind of said that. Here's a picture of them. You like their clothes? Two pioneers of computer game Go. On the left is Micro Go Alan Scarf. Yeah, same color as Jess, I guess. Jess is often black and white. The game took place on a 9x9 board rather than a full-size 19x19 board. You're able to play any version of Go, but difficult to please. Yamauchi was unimpressed. I can play it, look! This is the game they made. I don't know how to play Go, but whatever. No, just to see what it's like. I see. I think I'm selecting the level here. Level 1. This is the first game he made back in the day. Now I gotta do something to put the piece down. Like... I don't know what I'm trying to do. Get 4 in a row, maybe? You got little ninjas. I don't know, I had this game for a while. I think I got a good move there. The guy cheered, eh? Oh, maybe you're trying to surround them, eh? I don't understand the mechanics either, to be honest. It looks like you're trying to surround their pieces, though. Well, I mean, we're trying to figure it out. Can I read the mechanics first? You want to watch me read? Oh, crap! Got two of my guys. I'm black. Let's try going here. Oh crap, he got me again! Twice. Yeah, I thought I surrounded their guys efficiently, but apparently not. Now you got another one. Yeah, I surrounded one of his though. Oh crap, he got me. Wonder if I get his piece back if I do that. Oh, he got me badly there. Beating the crap out of me. I don't know why my piece didn't take his away though, that was weird. The nerd game. Japanese game. I thought you loved Japanese people. I knew he was gonna go there. Probably gonna put it down one from the white one. See? Predicted right. I don't know what happened. My guy's bowing. Oh, he got me good there, eh? You think I got him? I think they got me. It's 41-7. 43-7. $44-7. 45-7. Is there anywhere I can surround him? Well, it's Maverick. I've never played this game, so I don't know anything about this game. That's why I'm doing so poorly. Oh, 46-7 now. Well, at least it was close. Like 110-7. Lessons in Japanese, apparently. How do I get out? I don't think Rebecca knows this game any more than we do. Oh, I see. You can imagine the grid changing, eh? Kind of bored here. Well, thank you for telling me that. I'm trying to get out so I can get back to the movies. Oops, I made a screenshot. There, I figured it out. So that's the game I was playing right there. Ego Kiro Roban Tai Yoko. Magazine advertisements for it featured a series of clay figures playing games of Go against the Famicom system. First advertisement showed system floppy disk version. Next two showed the cartridge version. Meanwhile, in London, just as Hank Rogers was releasing his Go game, Robert Stein of Andromeda was closing a deal to license Tetris to the rights. The US game publisher Spectrum Holobyte and to the European publisher Mirrorsoft. He signed contracts with both companies, even though he had not yet secured the rights.
I'm at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. My job is to find games to bring
yes.
to Japan. And the way it works is there are like hundreds of monitors from dozens of companies, all showing games.
Man, back then it
And
must
the
have
people
sucked to
are
haul
lined up
those
to play
monitors
those
in, eh?
games, you know, for a couple of minutes to get an impression.
You know, he was trying to have a Go game. He was really into Go. He had this other game he was working on called Black Onyx. But everybody was playing this game in our booth. Tetris, Hank came over to play.
So I stand in line, and there I play Tetris for the first time. And, then I go and play other games, and I find myself standing in line at the Tetris machine again. And I play again. I said, oh, okay. And I go away, and I find myself... The fourth time I'm standing in this line, it's like, I'm really hooked on this game.
And he sees my name on the top of the high score list. So he sits there for hours trying to knock me off the list.
I put the high score on the game. I beat Gilman Louis' high score on that game.
He meets up with Phil.
I showed it to Hank for the first time. Hank loved it.
Phil takes Hank into a meeting with me.
And so I started negotiating with Gilman about Tetris for Japan.
And Hank goes, I want to get the Japanese rights.
See? Fascinated that a game so as simple as that could keep my attention for so long. Its lure reminded me of a Japanese board game that my father taught me to play called Go. Just black and white stones, played on 19x19 grid. Looks simple and incredibly deep. It was at the Consumer Electronics Show in '88 that my adventure began. I knew it would be a hit. I needed to be part of it. Look at this. You ready? First commercial release of Tetris. We're born ready. Oops. Oops. And this is a different color scheme than the other one, eh? You ever played this game, Got? Oh, crap! Fix it. Oh, crap again! Oh! Bad at it. I got the top score, though. Let's try again. Oops. Ba 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 ba. You think you can beat me? Oops. Why do you think that? I'm pretty awesome at it. Oh! Need one of those. Look at that. It is pretty fast. Oops. Literally. Oh. I didn't even beat my own score. Oh. All went wrong. Got 666. Stephanie's favorite number. So that's the MS-DOS version of 1988.
At the CES, that's when we met with Stein, Robert Stein, who had the first version of Tetris that he said he saw while he was in Hungary, and was trying to see if there would be an American publisher of that particular game. Stein made his career finding interesting products in the East, Eastern Europe, right, and bringing them to the West. A sole practitioner of licensing people's products, identifying potential talent. I think that was an important function at that time, given the fact that it was really hard to go to a place like the Soviet Union. What was interesting was Robert Stein had shot this game to a few other publishers. One of them was to Brotherbund.
I thought, we wouldn't have said this at the time because they didn't exist, but it was more of a handheld kind of game. A little bit of a lightweight game. I didn't feel like it had the heft to be a PC.
That guy probably regrets that, eh?
It looked a little messy. It was, it was a story that I heard about where it came from and through whom, but I was dealing with people several steps down the ladder, and I wasn't totally sure of its provenance.
There was a producer at that time, Brad.
69's
It's kind of
Rebecca's favorite number.
And Brad was saying, hey, I just saw this great game called Tetris that Robert Stein is showing around. You should really, really publish it. Then I got a call from Microsoft, from Jim McConaughey. Jim goes, hey, Stein is coming to the States. He dropped off this game. We can't stop playing it. Like, we cannot stop playing it.
Jim McConaughey, who was the CEO for Microsoft, said, I've got something to show you. And he showed me Tetris. I played it for a little bit, just couldn't quit playing it. Jim says, hey, I'm dealing with Robert Stein. He has the rights to it.
Phil was in the meeting, myself was in the meeting, Stein was in the meeting. I said, I like the game a lot, but I want to make a lot of changes. Right? I want to change the graphics. I want to, change the scoring mechanisms, the controls. I want to tweak with it.
What's change it?
I can't talk to the programmers. I go, I can't talk to the programmers. Why can't I talk to the programmers? If you're licensing somebody's product, I need to be able to talk to the programmers. And he goes, well, the programmers are not in Hungary. They're in the Soviet Union. Soviet Union? I turned to Phil. I said, put it in a red box.
We wanted to push it as the first product out of Russia, and we came up with a marketing concept, and the Saint Bastille is the box, and the spelling of Tetris using the Russian symbol and letters.
So his
look at that marketing
my marketing brain starts rolling. So we do the deal.
At the height, eh?
We signed the deal, but unbeknownst to us, is it was signed in with Academy Soft, and eventually Elorg Programa took it over in Russia, and that's how some of the rights got convoluted later.
We spent months trying to get that thing tuned so that it felt right through that progression till you got into that sweet spot of the gameplay, because that was a key part of the magic of the game, right? We even put a thing called the boss key because people were playing this thing at work. So we had so that if you press the key, a spreadsheet,
boss key,
VisiCalc sheet would show up because people, once you started playing, they couldn't stop playing. We had to get people to pick up the game. So we had to tell a story. We really try to play up this kind of glasnost environment. Hey, this is the game that Russia will use to invade America, right? Through addiction. We were trying to put together a story that would get people sucked into the game. But once you got into the game took care of the rest. And yeah, we tweaked it, we tuned it, but the core of the game was always there. It was there way before we touched the product. And I give all the credit to the original Russian team.
We finally got the PC version.
There's the guy that made the game.
And when we put it on PC and saw it, we got, both of us, me and Belikov, we became pale.
There's a 16-year-old German pilot that landed a plane in Red Square, and we put that into the introduction.
Pulling a banner that says "Play Tetris," right across the screen.
That was very big.
Hank is that guy with the beard
on this landing and whatever.
So we thought that was fun.
The other guy,
again,
not
we're
this
trying
guy.
to get the game positioned so that when they think about the Soviet Union, they'll think about Tetris. When they think about Tetris, they'll think about the Soviet Union. Stein goes, you need to change that.
We immediately kind of contact them and say it's absolutely unacceptable.
So we pulled it out.
And they say, no problem, we will take it away. That was a very big relief.
Just so happened, as we were coding up the game, the announcement goes off that it's going to be the first summit, détente, between Reagan and Gorbachev. So that all was part of how we framed it. Like, this is the thing that's going to break through the Iron Curtain.
We hired a Gorbachev.
Look, there's the Russian guy before Putin.
Look-alike.
And we start producing ads, a USA Today style ad that says, what's really happening behind these secret meetings, and they had them two playing Tetris. And it was picked up by everybody.
We really went all out, TV, media, the whole perestroika.
So Tetris was actually launched with the story from the New York Times as the first game from the Soviet Union.
And it won Game of the Year at the
Pink.
SBA Awards for 1988.
Pink was one of the early guys. These ones are the ones that kind of made it kind of more Russian-y. First advertisement right there. First ad. See, they released it on Commodore, Apple, Amstrad, BBC Micro, Spectrum. They started putting it everywhere.
The situation was very clear. Not my computer
This is the guy that
center,
created
even
it.
Academy of Science has no right to have any business deal with somebody outside of USSR. It was very special agency of Ministry of Foreign Affairs who was authorized to sign some kind of business deals with any other outside entities. And then I start kind of my odyssey over those different agencies in Moscow. I didn't want this too much. I was a little bit afraid of all this kind of activity around this stuff. So any excuse to avoid it, I used in full force. But as soon as I have this telex, I need to do something with it. And I did several agency, and all of them kind of say, no, we don't deal with software, we don't know how to do this. It's not our main job, and the deal is too small or whatever. Finally, I got very good guy in Ilorg. His last name was Alexeyenko. Sasha Alexeyenko, Alexander Alexeyenko, yeah. He likes programming and he likes us programmers, and that was a very big hope for my little game. So I prepare some kind of paper for agreement between Computer Center and Delorg. My deputy director just signed it without reading. 3 or 4 months, I didn't heard anything of it. And all of a sudden he called me and say, yeah, well, I met Robert Stein. He considered your reply as an agreement. I say, come on, how could it be? It looks like he get this deal as is, and he is sub-licensed it already, and the game is about to come out. We can't do anything.
Info security, I would imagine.
The only thing we could do
would be
is
the best thing to take for making money.
Agreement with them, and
did you watch the video of me of the hacker I met?
We cannot bargain with him already because he considered this telex reply as a general agreement. That was it.
Oh, somehow you commented on it. How come you didn't watch it?
And stopped. And I never heard about the game, about anything for another.
Yeah, it was on Dr. Phil.
Maybe 3 or 4 months. But at this time, the new
and you responded to and asked questions.
Mr. Belikov, Nikolai Evgenievich Belikov, came on board. He
in the Discord there,
the chief of my previous friend. We discussed the strategy, we discussed what we could do, we decided we never give up the other platforms and whatever. So we was all in agreement about this stuff.
Here's the Apple II version. Let's try the Apple II version. Harder without the grid, eh? You think the Apple II version is boring? How come? Beeps? It's easier to line up for some reason. Look, I'm gonna get a Tetris. If I can never get a big piece. There, that was excellent, eh? It's colorful. This one's not as bad. The other one was so fast, it was ridiculous. They got the Russian background there. Well, the guy was from Russia, so they were marketing that, they said. Just said that in the video a second ago. How to connect it with Russia, the first product coming out of Russia with the Iron Curtain coming down. Oh crap, I could have got the big piece in there. Both selling a product. Bigger being everybody's excited about Russia Curtain coming down, you know? So they marketed it that way. This is definitely easier than the other one, though, that's for sure. Kind of messed up some of the colors, eh? Look at that. Wonder when they introduced the music. It must have been the Game Boy version, eh? Yours, the version you play, have music? Oh, that's messed up. What the heck? It's like pieces coming out of nowhere. Fix it, apparently. Uh-oh. Need a long piece here soon. A little bit faster. Here's a long piece, but I covered up my spot. Ah, I should have put it on the air side. Here's another one. Oh, that's just how it was programmed back then. It wasn't programmed very well, I guess. $1980 style. Ah, crap. Oh, crap again. Not good. Read BPS.
So I went to Japan.
It's June by now.
There's Hank
Gilman
Rogers.
comes to Japan. His first stop is the company that put him in business, a Japanese company called ASCII, that made a deal to represent Microsoft in Japan.
I had a good relationship with Microsoft Japan through ASCII Corporation because they kind of gave me my start, giving me
F-16, I remember that game.
For the MSX back then. It was a Japanese computer.
That was
He was the first guy
relationship.
that
So he
kind
had
of
to
discovered
study
it
ASCII
outside
first. And they
from
were the biggest
outside of
company in
Russia.
Japan at that time.
I showed it to them, but they were
Made that
they were
dot
not that
game.
interested in Tetris.
ASCII passed on Tetris in 1988 because they said Tetris was too retro.
He's like you.
Can you imagine? Tetris was too retro in 1988. ASCII is gone. Tetris is still here. I would say ASCII is too retro.
So Hank goes, I'll license it. I agree that Hank would be the right partner because Hank loved this product. Like, he loved this product. And I knew he was going to do right by this product. Hank wanted console rights as well. Now, this is pre-Game Boy.
Gilman,
It's the name of a company.
Licensed me. Of course, it was PC, it was console, it was coin-op, and then he goes back, and we had made a whole deal.
So I go back and I call up Microsoft because we jointly owned the IP. The Mirror Group was owned by the Maxwells. And the son of Robert Maxwell was the head of the entire enterprise. But Kevin was trying to build his own sub-publishing group inside this, an electronic publishing group. The CEO was a guy by the name of Peter Bellata. And Peter wanted the rights for Blasteroids. He traded Blasteroid rights for Tetris.
3 weeks later, he calls me and he says, I'm really sorry to say this, but while I was in Japan dealing this, Microsoft has licensed those rights to Tengen, Atari Games / Tengen. I said, those guys absolutely have no presence in Japan. Why would they do that? They traded it for Blasteroids.
Blasteroids was a B game at best.
I mean, Blasteroid sounds like a condition. Blasteroid, here, take some preparation B. You know, where did I mean, nobody ever heard of Blasteroids after that? Anyway,
I was furious. But
That's the first time I've heard of it.
The Atari brand. So I go up to Kevin. I said, "This is Kevin Maxwell. I said, this is the worst decision you could ever make. How could you let
Blasteroids is a funny
this
name.
game
I never heard of it.
for a B-class game like Blasteroids?" Kevin was trying to broker the peace between warring American company run by myself, Sphere and Spectrum Holobyte, and Peter Bellata, who was running Microsoft at the time. So the way it worked was, okay, you keep the game rights, but Peter is going to license this off. So I call up Hank and I said to Hank, look, I'm out of it.
I said, Gilman, we made a deal. You can't just like walk away and say that, sorry, there was no deal. We have a deal. He said, okay, let me see what I can do. And then what he came back with is, okay, well, I got you the PC rights, the personal computer rights. And that's something.
My parent company has ruled that they're going to go with the Brits. The Brits have licensing it to Atari or Tengen, right? You need to go talk to them if you want to get the rights for the cartridge rights.
There's Blasteroids. Wonder if we're gonna get to play Blasteroids. I didn't pay any rights money for it. They traded a crappy game for it.
I had already started developing on all 8 different personal computers. They were all not compatible, and on Nintendo, on the family computer or the NES. Tengen, okay, Tengen. I know the guy who I can deal with at Tengen. His name is Randy Brolite. He sends me a fax and he says, sorry, but we've made a decision. We can't license it to you. I'm like, what? And Atari Games was owned, let's see, it was 46% by an American company, 46% by Namco, and 8% by the people running the company. So I thought, well, maybe Namco decided that they're going to publish it. But Namco had a policy. They never published anybody else's software. They only ever published their own games. I remember being at
Namco is a big company.
Trade show, and I ran into Iwatani. Iwatani is the creator of Pac-Man. And so I go, Mr. Iwatani, what do you think of Tetris? And he drew a blank. He said, what do you mean? I said, never mind. If Namco was going to be publishing Tetris, and if they were looking at it, he would know. And so the fact that he didn't know meant that Namco had no eyes on Tetris. I said to my team, look, I'm getting on a plane. I'm going to there in San Jose. I'm going to San Francisco. I'm not coming back till I have these rights. I got a meeting. Remember the table with Van Elderen, Nakajima, Randy Brolite, and I was explaining that I had already made a lot of progress on Tetris, and it took me 10 days. You know, I remember having sushi with the president of Atari Games, Nakajima.
You had sushi with him, eh?
On a napkin, we made a deal. That's how I end up being able to publish Tetris in Japan. So I thought.
Uh-oh, there's a catch.
We've invited everybody in here today for the grand showing of the
There's him when he's younger.
original Tetris as Alexei programmed it. The machine is an Electronic 60, and Alex came up with the idea to program Tetris, and he thought about it for 10 days and programmed it for about 4 days, and this is the result of his effort. So Alexei,
I'm still on level 5, and I could increase the speed on the fly.
oh really?
Yes.
I did that by accident the other day. How does that work?
Yeah, you just push the 4 button, and now there we go. We are on the level 6.
Oh, I see. It's a one-way
That's what
thing.
Tetris used to look like.
See?
My scoring system was a little bit complicated.
I had invented some new additions to Tetris.
One contribution that Hank made that most people don't know about was the single, double, triple Tetris. The idea of clearing 4 lines at a time, and that gives you the highest score. Like that was Hank.
Oh, see that? The guy made that 4-line thing called the Tetris.
In the original rules of Tetris, there is no points awarded for clearing a line. The only points that you get in the original Tetris is for allowing a new piece to appear in the playfield. And the way the scoring works is you get 24 points for allowing a piece to appear in the playfield. Every time it falls one row, then you lose 1 point. So the quicker you hard drop it into its final position, the more points you save. And Alexei charges you a 5-point tax for peeking at the next piece. So instead of getting 24 points, you only get 19 points if the next piece is showing.
No можно так. Now you see the next piece is shown just in the middle.
I didn't even know you could do
middle
that.
of the screen. I mean, of height-wise.
Do you like that idea though? Rewarding the player?
Yeah, actually, it's more natural. That's what people expect. You know, when I wrote the game, I think just about my own common sense. But if you do the game for people to play, you need to respond what they expect out of the game, and it's quite natural to get extra credit for cleaning lines and other stuff. So basically, it's much better idea.
Here's an ad. Look at that.
I used to play Tetris in arcade. That was Sega arcade. And before I joined the Sega, I was a teenager. And, the Japanese Game Center, that was a very exciting place. Two people sat facing each other in a table type cabinet. And it was, coins stacked on the table like that. And I wasn't a good player, but I watched the super plays, by the great players, many great players in Japan. And there was always a huge crowd around the Tetris table. Tetris was like very intellectual battle type of game, It's very quiet and silence.
Didn't show your age.
And very high tension, and everybody watching just blocks. I think Tetris is the first game, it's very great to watch. Yeah, Tetris is very minimal, simple game. No decoration, just, very simple patterns of shapes. Everybody go into a deep dive into the zone states kind of feel.
Broken.
I love that. I love that feeling.
Oh. This is the Famicom version, I guess. This is the NES. Oh, it's the first one with the music. I think GOT disappeared on us, eh? Which music do you like the best? Technotris? Karinika? Troika? Oh, I see. If I push down, it switches it. Tells me the next piece over there. Ah, crap. Keep trying to rotate it. Ah, crap. Okay, pushing the wrong button messes me up big time. Ah! Ah! Hey, that's the first time you can clear levels, eh? Now we're gonna kick butt. Big names. Ah, messed up. Ah! Ooh! Wrong button. Ah. Oh, push the wrong button again. Meant to rotate it. The Tetris. Ah, crap. I was lucky. I wasn't lucky. Ah, wrong button. Dang it! I have to go to bed though, so I guess I'll end that game. First Tetris to put a Christmas spin on it. Watch this video first.
So I send my guys out to get initial orders for Tetris. And they came back and said, we got 40,000 units. And 40,000 is not enough. Because in order for you to get a repeat order, you have to sell through at least 200,000 copies. And so I made a meeting with you, Mr. Yamauchi, again. So, Mr. Yamauchi, I think I have one of the greatest games in the history of computer games. And my guy, I don't know whether it's my marketing that sucks or whether my sales guys suck. I don't know. But we've only been able to get 40,000 units. Well, he calls in Miyamoto. Miyamoto's the guy who made
Miyamoto?
Zelda and everything. Called him Miyamoto. Miyamoto, is this a great game? And Miyamoto says, yes. And it's, wow. So, and how do you know? It says, because your secretaries and accountants are playing at lunch and after work. And then he calls in Imanishi. He's the number 2. He goes, Imanishi, I want you to put Nintendo's seal of approval on this game. I was like, whoa, that's like the seal of good housekeeping. And I want you to call every distributor and tell them to order more. I was like, wow, this is some serious action that's going on here. I remember there was a moment when Yamauchi actually thought, you know, he could buy Tetris from me and then let Nintendo publish it. And he said, you'll make much more money if you let me publish Tetris and I'll pay you royalties. And I said, that may be true, but Tetris is my game. The only way that I would give you Tetris is if you would give me Mario. Okay, you got the point. So thank you very much. Go back to Yokohama. Mr. Imanishi calls me back the next day and says, please, please, please don't make me put the seal of approval on the game, because if I do, then every other company is going to want a seal of approval. And then I have to set up a whole department figuring out which games have, you know, get the seal of approval or not. And then it's just going to be a huge headache. So, but I'll call every distributor for you and make them order more. Okay, I thought, well, shoot, you know, as long as I get the orders, I'm fine. So he calls distributors and we got another 30,000, which is like, oh, come on, you know? So Christmas comes, the distribution has puts our games in all the stores, and it's not selling through. Nobody knows what Tetris is. You know, it's not a game that you can look at an ad and say, oh, I want to play that game. No, you have to play Tetris. And so distributors then, the stores started panicking, the distributors started dumping. Dumping means selling below their cost. I got my guys calling everybody, said, do not dump your software. This is a different pattern from every other game. People have to play the game before they can want to, it'll take off, but it takes off slower. Well, end of January, every place was sold out and every place was clamoring for more. Beginning of February, we got orders for 200,000 units. Where am I going to get the money for 200,000 units? Because at that time, the way that it worked is you had to pay Nintendo cash up front. Then basically, they go into manufacturing. 2 months later, you get your delivery, it goes into the store. Then you get paid back. So it's 2.5 months before you get your money back. $2.5 million, $2 million, $10 or 1,000 yen a cartridge. And so I went to the bank, and the bank says, where's your collateral for $2 million? And finally, I convinced my wife to convince her her family, her father, basically they put up all of their real estate, all of it. And so we managed to hang on.
That Tengen went rogue. Took a dramatic twist. That released with Nintendo's approval for NES in the US, but it made a surprising announcement it would cease doing business and release it without Nintendo's approval. Alright, I'm off to bed. Have a good night. Oh, nobody's even here.